Hello everyone, I'm Nadella Puput Erlangga from 5BB class of English Department State Polytechnic of Sriwijaya. And in this sense, I would like to share to you some information about types of variables. Variables come into many types, but in this sense, I would like to share to you about only two types of variables. They are categorical and continuous variable. But before we get to know about those types, I would like to share to you about what is variable. Alright, what is variable? Variables are the conditions or characteristics that the experimenter manipulates, controls, or observes. They are the main ingredients of research and the basis of your research work. Without variables, there would be no research. A variable is an object, event, idea, feeling, time period, or any other category that someone is trying to measure. It is important to state that variables may have the following characteristics, such as a period when they start or stop. They must have a pattern, such as daily, weekly, and monthly. They are quite detailed with an overview of in-depth among others. So, we have known about what is variable, and we will know soon about the types of variables. And for the starter, I would like to share to you and I would like to explain to you about categorical variables. The attributes or subvalues or subsets of categorical variable are vary in kind rather than in degree, amount, or level, or quantity. So we can conclude that categorical variable is a variable that has a limited number of distinct values. That is, it can be classified into distinct limited categories. In categorical variables, the variations of the variables are associated with specific categories, such as the variance in the subsets of a categorical variable is in functions of the placement of these values or attributes in different categories, rather than with respect to a scale of measurement. For example, sex can be classified into two distinct categories of male and female. Here, all members of category or subsets are recognized as the same and assign the same values. However, categorical variables are divided into some classes, and we will get to know about these classes soon. The first classes is nominal variables. This variable has two or more categories which are not in an intrinsic order. Classifications of the values of this variable is based on equality or sameness or difference. No category can be said to be greater or less than the other. A nominal variable does not actually show measurement. Rather, it names the characteristics of the subgroups. A variable like mode of study could have values like full-time, part-time, and distance learning. Other examples of such variables include religion or nationality. The second class is ordinal variable. This variable has two or more categories which can be ranked or ordered. Consequently, a category can be said to be greater or less than another. A blank height, for example, can assume any value within a certain range, and other examples that include it are test score and income level. The third class is dichotomous variable. This variable has only two categories. A dichotomous variable may have similar features of nominal variables in terms of not having intrinsic orders. An example is gender. The categories are likely to be male and female. In other instances, a dichotomous variable may assume the feature of rank or rank. For example, the score, which normally have multiple values, can be dichotomized as categories like high or low. based on boundary scores set by the researcher to delimit one category from the other. However, it is not possible to convert a true dichotomous variable to a polychotomous one. And the last class is polychotomous variables. This variable has more than two categories or subsets. An example is like a foreign language proficiency level, which could have subsets like beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Other examples include educational qualifications. So that's all about the categorical variable. We have known about the definitions of categorical variables and also the classes of categorical variables. And next, we will learn about continuous variables. Continuous variable is a variable that can be measured by scale, such the subsets or groupings are different from each or another on the basis of quantity, degree, level, or amount. They vary on the basis of magnitude along an ordered continuum. Such variables can take an infinite number of values, then they can assume an unbounded range of values along a specific continuum. They are also known as quantitative or measured variables, and they have the feature of rank ordering. And continuous variables can be further divided into classes like interval or ratio variables. So, the classes of continuous variables that I have mentioned before are: the first one, interval variables. This variable can be measured along a continuum in a scale. In addition, its subsets have a numerical value. We can talk of the size of the interval between the subsets of an interval variable. The feature of rank ordering can be found in this type of variable. Temperature, measured in Celsius or Fahrenheit, is an example of an interval variable. Interval variables do not have a true or absolute 0 point. For example, a reading of 0 Celsius does not indicate a complete lack of temperature. Alright, the next class of continuous variables is ratio variables. This variable has an absolute or true 0 point. A ratio variable is first and foremost an interval variable, but not all interval variables are ratio variables. For example, temperature measured in Celsius or Fahrenheit is an interval variable, but not a ratio variable. Ratio variables have the features of magnitude and order. In addition, a ratio variable has an absolute or true 0 point. For example, examples of ratio variables include test score, height, and weight. Temperature measured in Kelvin can be said to be a ratio variable because 0 Kelvin indicates that there is no temperature whatsoever. Right, that's all about the continuous variables. We have known about the definitions of continuous variables and also the classes of continuous variables. And means that this session is over. Right, and thank you so much for your attention. Have a good day.